As you know, Burning is based on a short story by Haruki Murakami, written in 1982. The main character of the story belongs to the middle class and experienced mainly existential difficulties. In the early 1980s, society was still far from the consequences of globalization, which manifested themselves in full after the 2008 crisis, when the whole world finally shrank and turned into the interdependent world order. This, in our opinion, distinguishes Lee Chang-dong's film from Murakami's story. The South Korean director has managed to reproduce the direction of social transformations that have taken place in society in recent decades. Zygmunt Bauman, noting the differences between late industrialized capitalism and modern capitalism, writes, "In the past, the self-made rich people were considered as heroes and role models. Their life was the embodiment of the beneficial results of a stubborn adherence to the principles of the work ethic and mind. Today, wealth itself has become an object of admiration, wealth as an indulgence for the most refined and wasteful way of life. In the images of rich, everyone admires their amazing ability to determine the content of their own life, place of residence, life partners, and change all this when they want and without any slightest effort. These people are driven by the aesthetics of consumption, manifestation of an extravagant and frivolous aesthetic taste, and not submission to the work ethic and self-limiting postulates of reason. To understand the processes of the late capitalism development in sociology, the term Starbuckization is used. Customers pay significant money for what is essentially water with additives. The profit from each cup of coffee is huge, and in the case of expensive and exotic coffee, it is even more. The added value and profit from each cup is simply incredible. Sometimes it reaches 95%. The system of coffee purchase licenses for opening new coffee houses has rapidly spread throughout the world. This kind of business has become a symbol of capitalism. Based on the ideas of sociologists George Ritzer, philosopher and film critic Slavoj Žižek notes that if Starbucks is a symbol of capitalism, then in this case the end of the world, the end of capitalism, is better to experience in Starbucks. In the new Middle Ages, which will come after technological collapse or a terrorist attack, the monasteries, that is, as centers of intellectual life and in general any life, will not be universities, as Umberto Eco mistakenly suggested, but will be Starbucks coffee houses. One could say that Zizek's only complaint about capitalism is that Starbucks today closes too early and is not open 24 hours, 7 days a week. In other words, many people today know the true essence of capitalism, but continue to enjoy its benefits. We see that in Lee Chang-dong's Burning, Jong-soo and Hemi are forced to give up their dreams and turn their harmless artistic interests into ordinary efforts in the struggle for a livelihood. At the beginning of the film, Hemi tells Jong-soo that she took mime classes. In one shot, she pauses, gaps for air, and peels an imaginary tangerine, explaining to a puzzled Jong-soo, "When I feel like eating, I can always have a clementine." Pantomime gives her the illusion of a fantastic abundance of possibilities. Imaginary clementines for Hemi are a kind of escape from the social and financial trap in which she finds herself. Jong-soo's imaginative writing intentions, as we see in the film, were also not developed. He wrote the only petition in his life in order to help his father get out of prison, but it did not give the expected result. Jong-soo lacks the stability, resources, the support to make his dream of writing novels a reality. Lee Chang-dong's Burning begins right at the moment when Jong-soo stopped writing his literary work. According to one of the film critics, the tragedy in the film Burning is that the luxury of the imagination is still reserved primarily for wealthy men. The ending of Burning offers the viewer a dreamlike solution to problems when Jong-soo's rage erupts. He kills Ben by stabbing him multiple times and then setting the corpse on fire along with the flashy Porsche. The finale of Burning contrasts sharply with the rest of the scenes of the film and the behavior of the reserved Jong-soo. The protagonists became more and more dark as the film drama developed, and in this we see the director's intention, which realized the main message of the film. You can fight the system, but it is much easier to live in fantasy. According to Lee Chang-dong, at some point he realized something strange. The plot of Murakami's story, Burn the Barn, and the planned film Burning had one thing in common. Both works were associated with the growing inner anger of the main characters, with the phenomenon of the rage that often experienced by modern people living in outwardly comfortable world. It seems to me that the mystique of Murakami's text could be developed and expanded so that it would reach a different level of understanding and connect all my thoughts about anger together. The director does not give the viewer the final clue to the main intrigue of the film. Which of the opposite characters, the representative of the golden years Ben or the deprived Junsu, is a criminal. Thus, Lee Chang-dong, reflecting the pressing social problems of young people, remains aloof from ready-made answers related to complex, not fully understood trends of our time. At the very least, the main message of the film is that as long as the dispossessed characters of the film choose to remain in their fantasies, little will change in their lives. Summing up, Lee Chang-dong's film undoubtedly represents the cinema of complexity, the kind of cinema that can become a means of transformations, works for social change. The cinema of complexity highlights the fundamental universal values that are close to all people, regardless of the country in which they live. Humanity is looking for authenticity, space for reciprocity and cooperation, redressing injustice, and a chance to build a better future for the next generation and the generation beyond. This time we talked about the sorrowful realism of Lee Chang-dong's movies. I'll see you on the next time.